The Wheelhouse Talk seek to provide our community with access to the insights and expertise of our local leaders. Here, we hope to celebrate our shared values while learning how to integrate the experiences of others into our own personal leadership philosophies. That being said, we're appreciative that all of you are here with us today, and we thank you for coming. With that, I'll pass off the microphone to Nathan. Thank you.
A native of Grand Rapids, Judge Sara Smolenski is highly regarded as a community leader for her work both in and out of the courtroom. Not only is she the longstanding Chief Judge of the 63rd District Court of Michigan, Judge Smolenski is also a strong advocate for education, prevention of violence against women, and community engagement. She has served on various boards as part of her community service: the American Cancer Society, Kent County Literacy Council, Resources Against Violent Encounters to Women, Mental Health Foundation of West Michigan, Kids Food Basket, YWCA, Hospice of Michigan, Michigan Women's Foundation, and Senior Neighbors. She has also earned several accolades for her work in the community: the YMCA Tribute Award, Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce Athena Award, and the Salute to Women Award from the Grand Rapids Community College. She earned an Associate of Arts degree from Grand Rapids Junior College and a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Michigan. In 1982, she earned a Juris Doctorate degree from Thomas M. Cooley Law School and was elected to the bench in 1990. She was appointed by the Michigan Supreme Court as Chief Judge of the 63rd District Court in 1996. Please welcome Judge Sara Smolenski.
Thank you, Nathan. I'm just shaking your hand. Nice job. You did a good job. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to sneak up here. I'm a little bit of a walker when I'm a talker. You all know that I'm a talker already. If anyone has trouble hearing me, let me know. I said to Nate in the back that I very rarely am not heard. Even if they don't have a microphone on me, they still can hear me. And I just want to tell you how pleased I am. I feel like I have really made it. To be here at the Wheelhouse Talks at Grand Valley State University with the pleasure of hearing the introduction about local leaders and community activists and business owners and visionaries. When I was reading about Wheelhouse Talks, I was thinking, now, how do I fit in all of that? I mean, I sometimes go to the grocery store and people will say, "Aren't you the judge?" And I say, "Yes," you know. Sometimes I say no. When the kid is giving me the pizza at the Pizza Hut, and he said, "You gave me 30 days in jail." And I said, "Did you make that pizza?" No, I'm just kidding. I just feel very honored to be here. And I don't really think of myself really as a local leader. I'm not a business owner. I'm a visionary. I'm hoping most of us would be in some sense. And I'm not really an entrepreneur, but I was thinking, if whatever I would have to say would help any of the students that are the fellows here, then it's certainly worth it. I know a lot of the people in the crowd. Some of those that are here I've spoken with before. In fact, I had one couple come in and said, "Okay, we heard you last week at LaGrave Christian Reformed Church. LaGrave had me over there, and I spoke to a great group over there of 100 plus, and I said, well, you're going to hear a couple stories that sound very similar, probably." And then she joked and said, "No, we already forgot them." No. When I was contacted about speaking at the Wheelhouse Talks, it was serious. I did that clip. I mean, I don't know how many see that video. I just saw it yesterday for the first time, where they do a little plugging of the Wheelhouse Talks. And I know that you have 6 speakers a year as part of this program. And really, to be honest with you, I'm honored to be one of those 6. Now, I should probably get into the substance of my talk, so I just don't keep telling you I'm so excited to be here. But Professor Whitney had told me that they're taping this and that Ralph Hauenstein will see this. So, Ralph, we love you, and I'm so happy to be here. And thank you so much for all you have done for this greater Grand Rapids community, particularly here at Grand Valley State University. We appreciate it. Yeah, we do. We appreciate it. And we love you, and I miss seeing you at church. I know you're heading to Florida, so have a nice time, because it is very cold in Grand Rapids. So, having said that, I want to tell you that when I was thinking about talking serious, now really, honestly, I'm serious in court all the time. But I'm not speaking in front of a group in court. I just have a few people that I talk to. So I'm used to being serious in small groups. But when I get in a big group, I'm usually not always so serious. I'm a little bit more humorous and entertaining. So when Chad had called me to ask if I would speak at the Wheelhouse Talks, I was thinking, well, I don't think I can do 40 minutes of just, or 30 minutes of just serious, you know, because I got too many funny stories to tell. And as I came today, I was thinking, now if I get too serious, they're going to, like a couple will fall asleep, and the students are thinking, okay, where do we have to go next? And I started thinking if I just gave you a little mixture. So the serious part will come at the beginning, and that's this. If I talk and gear my thoughts right now to the students that are here, because some of you look like you're older than the regular students. Now, that does not mean that you stop learning. And we can all be students for a lifetime. You know, Ralph used to joke about, you're going to have me at Grand Valley till I'm 102, and he's already 103. So, you know, we just keep on going, keep on going. But to the students that are here, and I got to visit with some of you over meatballs in the next room, I want to tell you that, first, we're proud of you. We're proud of what you're doing in school right now. We're not your family. Most of us probably here are not your family. Most of us don't know you. But we are proud of you. And I think I can speak for everybody when I say that, because you are our future. And for that, we, still here, have a stake in that. And we want you to be the very best you can be. Now, when I was a kid, and you know, it's funny, you get to middle age, and what is middle age? Because if I live till as long as Ralph Hauenstein, I'm already past middle age. You know, because the scenario is, I always think of myself as a younger person, and it's relative, isn't it? Because I'm younger than some of you. On the other hand, when I was speaking with the students, I'm one of the older persons at the table. And so it's all relative. Every one of us is a contributor. Whether you're a student, whether you're past student age, and whether you're here for interest and curiosity about what's going on in Grand Rapids and what to hear about this judge and what does she have to say. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say to the students from a serious perspective, it's this. And I said it a little bit in my prep ahead of time when I did the video clip to get you excited about coming, and half the people didn't come. So you might want to rethink those video clips. No, I'm just kidding. My mother said I always kid too much. We used to just say JK, just kidding. I just would quit saying just kidding. I'd just say JK. JK, everything was JK. But I want you to recognize that you can do anything you want to do. I'm so pleased with this program because of the mentors that you have. With the people that are here, like the Kathy Crosbys and the Peggy Bishop and the John Kennedys and all the people that are here to be your mentors. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that a lot of people do not get. And I hope you first recognize that. But sky is the limit. Sounds perhaps a bit aloof to say that, sky's the limit. But really, you can do anything you want to do. You can do anything you want to do. I had the good fortune of meeting Sonia Sotomayor in San Diego in October. She happened to be speaking at an event for women judges, and I was fortunate enough to be able to go. I think it's the first time in 15 years I've left the state for a conference, but it was really a wonderful experience, and I read her book. And she started out living in the Bronx. Her dad died when she was 9. She lived in poverty in a lot of ways. She just overcame odds that were unbelievable. And I'm just reminded constantly when you read and hear stories of people, how much you can do. And you're at the very beginning of a journey that's going to be a wonderful journey. It doesn't stop. The journey continues, and it has different steps and different levels to it. But when I think about being a leader, I think, and really, I don't really think of myself that much as a leader. I mean, I talk a lot. That doesn't make you a leader, even if you're funny. Thank you. But to be a leader, in my estimation, is to believe in yourself. To believe in yourself. I was 32 years old when I ran for judge. I'd been an attorney for 9 years, and I had people that thought it was too young. I had people that told me it was too young. Now, I can appreciate this now because I'm starting my 25th year on the bench. The judges stay there for a long time. I mean, if you're going to take a position and run for office because somebody's retiring, you better jump on it, because these judges don't retire that often. And they go a long time. Look at I am. So, I remember thinking when the judge that I took over from was retiring, I had to jump on it and try. And I didn't know I would be elected. I ran against 4 men. I was the youngest. I was the only female. It was 1990. All my opponents had far more experience, and they were all good and decent people. But I believed in myself. Now, it helped that my dad was a judge, and it helped that my brother was a judge, from the sense that the name of Smolenski was known, and you got to take advantage of everything you do when you run for office. I mean, every possible thing that can help you, you take advantage of it. Having the name Smolenski helped me, and I don't regret it. Being a female helped me, and I do not regret that. Nor would I have changed that, or could. Perhaps nowadays that's a different story, but I wasn't going there. My thought for you right now is to say, if you believe in yourself, you can do it. Even when you're trying something you have never tried before. It's scary. It can cause a lot of anxiety and worry, and you can have doubt. You can even have people that you know question whether it's the right time for you to try this particular thing. But I am telling you, self-assuredness and believing in yourself is a big part of it. And I really attribute that to the family that I grew up in and my education. Because it was the teachers, it was the coaches, it was the Dominican sisters, it was the parents that I had and the siblings that I had that helped me gain that self-confidence. Now, we're all at different levels at different times. Even now in this room, not just the students, there are adult people that don't know what they want to do when they grow up. And they're grown up. And they still are thinking, should I try this? Should I do this? There are people that have 2 and 3 occupations in a lifetime or more. There are people that still don't know what they want to do. When I was at Michigan, the big thing was you gotta say what your major is. Well, see, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer since 4th grade. That's just unique. Not everybody knows that. I did. And I developed my desire of wanting to be, and I have 9 siblings. There were 10 of us in my family, kids, same parents. One brother, 9 girls. My brother was the oldest, 9 girls. I'm number 8. I'm one of the little kids. Still, to this day, at 57 years old, I'm one of the little kids. And I can remember thinking, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I don't remember, my class at school went down and saw my dad in court. I don't remember so much hanging out with my brother when he was a lawyer. We're 11 years apart, but, no one else went into law except my brother and I. So my other siblings didn't make me think about it. I remember just wanting to be able to speak for people who couldn't speak for themselves. And as corny as this sounds, I can remember being in 4th grade when the teacher would have you go around and you had to read 3 paragraphs, and then you had to read 3 paragraphs from some book we were reading. And a lot of times I'd have some classmates that did not like to read out loud. They could read. They could all read, maybe some better than others, but they were not about public speaking. As much as that felt to them as a kid sitting in their desk, that was a lot of stress. And I was like a motor mouth. I don't know why God makes us that way. Some are just very extrovert. Others are very introvert. And I thought, if I can take the stress off of my classmate Jimmy and read for him, well, I could, and I would. And I feel like that's how it started for me. Now, of course, every report card I got from 1st grade on was, Sarah's a good student. She's sharp, but she talks a lot. I can pull those report cards out now, and they still say it. And to this day, I still defend what I had to say. And I still say whatever I had to say was important. That's why I was talking. But when you think about sky's the limit, believing in yourself, it doesn't mean it's going to be always wonderful and great. It means there's going to be some failures. And you can fail. Failing is part of learning. Failing is part of learning. And really, when you think about it, sometimes there's not a lot of distinction between failure and victory when you really focus on what did you learn from that. And I just want to encourage those that are the students to go for the gusto. Never say never. Believe in yourself and go for it. Now, I just, for a second, want to tell you when I was at Michigan, and they gave you a lot of pressure about what your major was going to be. Ed Toohey is in the front row, and he was a law partner with my dad from years back. And I love you, Ed, thanks for being here. And when I had to decide my major, I knew I was going to be a lawyer. I mean, I didn't know why I had to say a major. I wanted to be a phys ed major because I was a really good athlete. Now, the counselor at Michigan thought I was nuts because you don't be a lawyer and be a phys ed major. You know, ping pong 101 really isn't going to really probably help you that much. But see, in my head, I knew I was going to be a lawyer. And going on to law school after college for me was like going from 5th grade to 6th grade. I never thought about it. Who ever thought about, are you going to go on to 7th grade? Or are you going to go on to 9th grade? Or are you going to even go to college? I mean, kids talk about that now. When they're through with high school, they feel like they've won $1 million and they can stop. And I'm always saying, no, you got to keep on going. And I say to those 2nd graders that come out to the court, 2nd grade is as young as we go. Heather Hills is as old as we go. And I say to those 2nd graders, wait till you're in 19th grade and you can be a lawyer. It sounds so funny, and to them it's off the chart. But to any of us, that time goes by. And this side of the room would say it flies. Sometimes it feels that way. So I tell people, you need to believe in yourself and you need to focus on doing what you want to do. So there I am with this counselor, and she's telling me English, and I'm thinking English, and she pulls out the curriculum of English, and I'm thinking, wow, that is a lot of books you have to read, and a lot, history, oh, that's a lot. Finally, she said political science, and it had a course on courts, and I loved courts, and I knew I was going to be a lawyer, so I said, okay, I'll be a political science major. That is how I decided. So I did. I was a political science major that you really don't do too much unless you're going to go to law school. I went on and I went to law school. I was probably practicing law in Grand Rapids for about 5 years when I met a woman at a women lawyers organization. And I said, how are you? And we met, networking, chit-chat. And I said, what was you? She went to Michigan State. I said, great, I'm a Wolverine. She's a Spartan. I said, great. And she said, yeah, and we're talking. I said, what was your major? She said, phys ed. I said, no way! Phys ed? They let you at Michigan State be a phys ed major and go to law school, but they wouldn't let you at Michigan. And I still think back on that. I mean, okay, really? The counselor was probably right, to be honest with you. But really, even if it's a little bit different, does it mean you can't pursue that? Now, that's a good segue into my story that I want to tell you about when I was at Michigan. Now, I played ball at junior college here in Grand Rapids and went to school for 2 years as a Raider. And I was on the women's basketball team and the women's softball team. And even at junior college here in Grand Rapids, we were very gifted in our group of students, athletes. We traveled even to the national junior college tournament as a basketball team back in the mid-'70s and went all the way to Texas and flew. I mean, that was big. That was really big. We took 4th in the nation, as I recall it, and the team we lost to wore skirts. I still remember that. They were from Bergen, New Jersey. But when I went to Michigan, I was a junior. And it was a good time for me. I was a little bit more mature to move away from home and to be at U of M in Ann Arbor. And I developed this attitude I've carried with me my whole life, and I attribute it to Michigan. Because when I was at Michigan, I tried out for the women's basketball team. Back in that time, they did not have scholarships. You tried out for the team. Things have changed so much. Not exactly much, but they have changed. Like, for instance, we were given leather Converse high-top tennis shoes, brand new pair, for being on the team. I made the team, and it was a thrill. It was a real thrill. And we got suited up with our maize and blue outfits, and they were great, and it was exciting. And we're playing in Chrysler Arena. If you've been to Ann Arbor, and they've just redone it, Chrysler Arena at this time, 1977, held 11,000 screaming Wolverine fans for the men's games. For the women's games, they held 50 people, 38 of which were my direct relatives from Grand Rapids. Siblings, nieces, nephews, cousins, parents. And it was my debut at the University of Michigan, our first game in the maize and blue. And honestly, I remember, and if we went back in the archives here at Grand Valley, I actually played Grand Valley at the Grand Valley facility here in Allendale, when I was at Michigan playing Grand Valley. So we could go back and find those photographs. I had a blonde afro that was out to here. Okay, so here I'm at the University of Michigan, and I make the team, and it's very exciting. And this is where I developed this 3D approach to life. Take with it what you will. Young or old, this 3D approach to life is applicable to all of us. And the 3Ds are: 1, desire. You've got to have the desire. No matter what it is that you are seeking to accomplish or get done. Whatever the goal, lofty or little, you have got to want to do it. And it doesn't matter if it's cleaning out the garage or if it's getting a master's degree. You have got to want it. Second is the determination. The determination is the commitment, and the commitment is there. You have got to be committed to whatever it is you do, or you're not going to succeed. Commitment, determination. In addition to the desire and the determination is one that I'm finding more and more now in my life is probably the biggest one, and that is the drive. You've got to have the energy. If you do not have the energy, no matter how much your desire is, you may run out of gas. And if you run out of gas, like my mom says, your tank is empty, it will not run. And I would remember thinking, you have got to have equal parts of this desire, of this determination, of this drive. And my whole philosophy was, when my family told me they're coming from Grand Rapids to Ann Arbor to see my inaugural game at U of M, besides praying a lot, dear Jesus, let me get in this game, I had this desire, determination, and drive that exuded every pore of my being because I wanted to make my family proud. And you know, it's funny because they're proud of you already. They love you and they're proud of you already. But I had it in my head that I wanted so desperately to get in this game. Now, I came from 2 years at junior college where I was a good ball player. In my own head, one of the best. No, I was a good athlete, you know. And so here I get to Michigan, but there's a lot of good athletes. I made the team, and I was thrilled for that. But it's our first game, and I'm not playing. And that's okay. I'm a team player, which is another part of being a good leader. You got to be a team player. You got to root those people around you. They're your helpers. They're your teammates. We're all together. There is no I in team. So the game is starting. We got the leather Converse high-top tennis shoes on that I love those shoes. And I swear to you, I remember the day that the Converse representative came to Chrysler Arena. The women each got 1 pair of shoes. The men, my recollection is they got 8 pairs each. And I'm thinking, okay, I've got 2 feet. Those guys have 2 feet. But I never did anything with it. I just kept loving my Converse high-top tennis shoes. Brand new, warm for the games, warm for practice, warm to get pizza on Sunday night when they didn't serve dinner in the dorm. We loved those shoes. I did. And the game started. And it was an exciting game in Chrysler Arena with 38 Smolenski families cheering on. And I'm on the bench cheering. First substitute, Sheila. My coach yells down. Sheila is sitting right next to me on the bench. Sheila is trying to take her maize and blue sweatpants off that's zippered at the ankle, and she's trying to pull them off inside out. She is yanking and yanking, trying to get them to come over those leather high-top Converse tennis shoes. And there is no way those pants were coming off. But Sheila was relentless in her efforts. And at this point, Sheila is on the ground in front of her seat at the bench in a twisted pretzel, yanking and pulling. Well, you've seen these ball games a million times, and that coach calls a player into the game. They think you're Johnny on the spot in the game in 2 seconds, checking in at the table, and you're high-fiving your teammate. The coach is staring and has this look. I don't know, it's being taped. If you can say, what the hell is going on? Sheila's still on the ground, and all I remember to this day is hearing that coach yell, Smolenski! And this drive, this determination, this desire, everything in my body was telling me, Sarah, you have got to get your pants off before Sheila does, or you're not getting in this game. So without a second hesitation, I stood up and I held onto my hips and I yanked my sweatpants to the ground as fast as humanly possible. And I took my shorts right with them. This is me at the University of Michigan, my debut, Chrysler Arena. And I'm standing there in my underpants. And I didn't even know it. I didn't know my shorts were around my ankles. Until I heard the Smolenski section laughing, Sarah. And then I felt the breeze. And I say to everyone, I say it is vitally important that you have the desire, that you have the determination, that you have the drive. But you need to keep your pants on. You know, it's funny because when you think of everything that you have in your life, right now the students, the stress, the worries, the concerns you have, this exam, exam week, this paper, you're doing stuff. Of course, now, with all the high-tech stuff that you do, you email your professor, you email your paper, you text this. I'd flunk out just from that, just trying to figure out all that. But, you worry. You worry, and you worry. And really, I'm here to tell you, yes, worrying is part of life, but try not to worry so much. It is all going to work out. Look at this side of the room. They're all good, wonderful people, and they all worked out. It all worked out for them. They have wonderful families. They're loved. They have people they love and that love them, just like you do too, now. But, it's like, it's a journey that you're on. And you need to find a balance, because that's the other thing. I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves. Not just being a student, even us. We put too much pressure on ourselves about things sometimes. And we need to find that balance. And for me, when I'm in the courtroom, I'm not funny in the courtroom. But there are funny things that happen in the courtroom. And you have to find a balance. I remember distinctly having a case where a woman had the side mirror knocked off her car. So she gets a ticket for defective equipment, okay? And she had to take her kids to the bus stop. It was raining, so she just threw them in the car, and the mirror's dangling. And, okay, she gets pulled over and gets a ticket, defective equipment. Okay, the very day she's in court, she's hysterical over this ticket for a broken window or mirror. All I want to say is just, get it fixed, pay this minimal fine, and be done. By the time she's carrying on, you'd have thought both her children are killed in the back seat of the car because they got slammed by because the very next case I have is a 14-month-old baby that had been physically abused, had 3 fractures, and the mother's boyfriend is charged. And I'm saying, you're worried about this mirror. Look around you. If you're really going to worry about something, make sure it's big enough to take your worry and time and concern, loss of sleep, anxiety. It isn't worth it. Most of the time, it's not worth it. And when you really think about it, in the end, it works out. Now, this is what I tell people regularly in court. It sounds so basic to say this, but I say it a million times. If you make better decisions, you'll have better results. We should bottle that. If you make better decisions, because see, really, none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect, and we all make poor decisions from time to time. But when you think about it, really, if you make better decisions, think about it. Because most of the time you know. What's the better decision? You know. And you make a decision one way or the other. Should I go out with the guys tonight and have the beers, or should I study? You think about it. And as much as I'm saying find the balance, I'm saying the balance comes as you trying to enjoy all of your life. Instead of being like me sitting with that counselor at Michigan saying I have to determine what my major's going to be. Life would still go on, whether I pick political science or not. And I think that you know what you want to do. And you need to make sure you allow yourself to develop that self-assuredness as students, because I think that's really it. Now, I was going to tell you about when I have cases in court that one thing is I was going to say, every time I speak in court, it's recorded. Most jobs you have, they don't record every word you say. It's been a really good experience for me to always remember that everything you say is being recorded. Because it does make you stop and think about what you're going to say. And sometimes we just have a natural knack of just blurting something out that might not be the best thing to say. But I had a young person in front of me that was 18, 19, and she was caught shoplifting at a store up in Rockford that sells really a lot of outdoor stuff, cool stuff, coats, North Face. I can't think of the name of it. It's a neat name of a store. It's on the corner. You've been there. But anyway, she's there, and she stuffs this North Face jacket in a over bag. She's carrying a cloth kind of purse bag. And she comes into court because she's charged with stealing, and it was a coat and a pair of gloves. It was like, I think it was about $160 altogether. Those North Face coats are expensive anyways. But so she's doing that, and she pleads guilty. And I say to her, could you tell me what you were thinking? And she says, you know what? It was an honest mistake. Now, I'm reading the police report, and she's describing that she shoves this coat in this bag. She shoves the gloves in the bag. She's going through a couple aisles, and she walks out the store. And they catch her, and they bring her back, and she's prosecuted. She pleads guilty, and she's telling me it's an honest mistake. And I'm saying, okay, let's look at those two words. Because really, it just seems like it's so off the chart. Like the kid who's driving up 131 and sees a boat on a trailer on the side of the road without a car attached, with a flat tire on the trailer, and he's thinking to himself, I've always wanted a boat. You just have to try to put yourself into what are they thinking about. Because while it might be a good show for world's dumbest criminal, the guy that gets caught and he's in the air conditioning unit and he got caught in it and they find him the next day because he was trying to break in a store or whatever. Or the guy that cuts the tree down out at the Gerald R. Ford International Airport, right behind Gerald R. Ford International Airport. Beautifully groomed and landscaped. Yeah. Cuts a tree down for Christmas, carries it across the intersection to the Wendy's parking lot. You've been there. You know what I'm talking about. Didn't know that while he was sawing the tree, his checkbook came out of his pocket. So the maintenance workers are out on their duty, and they see this checkbook, and the guy says, Joe, what's this? I didn't know we took this tree down. We didn't take a tree down. What tree? My gosh, they investigate, and there's his checkbook. Lives in Kentwood somewhere. The police go. They match his tree. They match the trunk. The evidence was the pine tree stump. You just wonder what people are thinking about sometimes. You wonder what people are thinking about. I just wanted to tell you before we open it up to some questions, one last little story. I don't usually take my dog to work. And the people at LaGrave heard this last week, and it's always a good story. But I had a yellow Labrador. I have one now, but my first one I had 13 years, and I'm a dog lover. She was a beautiful yellow Labrador, very well trained. Her name was Babe, named after Babe Zaharias, one of the famous golfers and Olympic athletes. And my dog always went to a neighbor's one street over for doggy daycare always, but they were going to be gone. They were gone for the week. So my dog looked at me that Monday morning as I was getting ready, almost as if to say, could I come to court with you today? I don't know really if you think your dogs talk to you, but sometimes you do communicate. Clearly, you do. I didn't actually hear the words, but I felt like she was saying that to me, so I brought her to work. We had a jury trial. It was a drunk driving case. It was going to last all day. At lunch, we broke. My dog was at my feet. No one saw her. They didn't know she was there. She's, the bench is kind of high, and she walked in with me, laid down, was perfect, perfect, perfect. Better than most of the people I deal with on a daily basis. We broke for lunch, and we came back, and as we were going to start the second half of this jury trial, a staffer came in and said, Judge, there's an attorney here from White Cloud, Michigan, and he'd like to have his client enter a plea if you could. They were unannounced, but they're here from White Cloud. Could you do it? And I said, well, I hate to make the jury wait, but let's quick do it. It'll take 10 minutes. So we did it, put it on the record. The attorney and his client are standing there, and I'm going through the rights as this client is pleading guilty to another drunk driving case separate. So he's pleading guilty, and I'm going through all the rights, and all of a sudden, my dog, Babe, she let one gasser go that was so bad. I could just sit there. My face is crinching up, and I could barely breathe. And I'm moving my hand involuntarily as I say, do you understand these rights as I've gone over them with you? And I feel like the wallpaper is going to curl back. My eyes are watering. And Babe, she's not bothered one bit, and she's quite relieved and just laying there relaxed. And I look over, and the attorney's got his file, and he's doing this in the air. He's whipping the file back and forth over the air, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hit them, and what am I going to say? And you just have seconds to decide how you're going to handle this. It's so embarrassing. I didn't want them to know that my dog was in court with me, but I really didn't like the alternative of them thinking it was me. So I thought for just a second, I decided for all the dog lovers out there, for all the dogs, I'd take it. I'd take it. I never told them my dog was at my feet. I never told them my dog was with me. And that attorney left the courtroom with his client, and he said, next time I'm going to get here before lunch. I just want to let the students know that there's going to be ups and downs, as there is in life for everyone always. That never changes. You can learn from your mistakes, and mistakes don't mean that you're bad. Failures do not mean that you're bad. Don't be afraid to fail, because you can learn from failure. It builds character. I'm sure you've heard that before. Doesn't feel too good at the time it's happening, but you get through it. Now, I'd like to open it up to any questions that anybody might have. We're located at Knapp and the Beltline. Our court is at Knapp and the Beltline. It's a great two-story building. If you ever come out there voluntarily, it's a good place to come and watch, see what goes on. I mean, I know you can flip on Judge Judy, Judge Brown, Judge Wapner, but it's something to be there in person. We have a lot of school field trips. I love it when the kids come out. They love it. They're smart. They're sharp. They can see and hear so much, and they really absorb it. I had a fifth grader write me a letter, and she said, Dear Judge Smolenski, that field trip to your court was one of the best 1-hour periods of my life. And then she said, thank you for letting us come see the corrupt people. A second grade group was out, and the kids were asking questions. They sat through about 20 cases. And this little second grade boy raised his hand, and he said, you know the guy with the red coat? Well, I did not remember anyone with a red coat, but the minute he said the guy that shoplifted the gym shoes from Myers, I immediately knew what he was talking about, because a man had been charged with shoplifting. He walked into Myers, put on a new pair of tennis shoes, put his old shoes in the box, Heidi-hoed right out of the store with the new ones on. Got busted, pled guilty, and I fined him. This is a second grader, I kid you not. He says, I understand the $200 fine. And he said, I think I get what probation is. It's kind of like being grounded. I said, yeah, that's right. He said, my question is, does he get to keep the shoes? Really thinking, these kids. No, he does not get to keep the shoes. Questions anyone has? Yes, sir.
Yes. Two questions,
Catholic Central Cougars, represented by a few Catholic Central coaches and administrators here. Born and raised. The funny part about it is there's 10 kids, I told you that, my parents. My dad went to Catholic Central, graduated in 36, then all 10 of us, 12 years of Catholic education from grade school to high school, 10 kids times 12, that's 120 years of Catholic education, not a nun, no priest. My dad thought he was the Pope, but my mother was really the saint. That's my little Catholic joke. That and this. Okay. That's the sisters right there. Okay. Yeah.
Your father went to school with my uncle at CC.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
All the years on the bench, I mean, obviously, a lot of things run together. Is there one bizarre or whatever case that sticks out that, like, you think about still to this day? Just something beyond unusual?
Yeah. I could keep. We only have the place till midnight, so I'm limited with some of my. But immediately when you say that, and there's so many, I could go on forever, and I know a lot of you have heard me speak, and I do sometimes go on forever, but immediately I'll tell you one. It was probably within the last 10 years, and he wrote me a letter, the defendant, which always I appreciate, especially when it's a nice letter. He walked into a family fair grocery store. He was a 42-year-old man, had an alcohol problem, 2 kids, divorced. He walked into a family fair. He got a cart. He went to the pop aisle. He put 2 cases of canned pop in his cart, 24 cans in a case. He pushed the cart to the bottle return and put 48 cans of full pop through the can return dispenser. He got his slip for $4.80. Now, talk bizarre. We got a lot of them. That's just one. That's an easy one. But I said to him, what did you need the $4.80 for? He said, I just heard it's an easy way to get some money, and I needed to buy cigarettes. To which I said, which maybe I shouldn't have, but I said, why didn't you just steal the cigarettes? Well, it does sound a bit funny for a judge to say that, but now we've got, a 16-year-old kid at family fair mopping those machines that may be ruined with the fluid that's not supposed to be in there, a few drops, okay, but not 12 ounces times 48 cans. And of course the cigarettes, they keep them back here because these are so protected, it's harder to steal the cigarettes. It's easy to go in and put the cans in. But he wrote me later and he said how much it meant to him that I spent time, I talked to him, I gave him some community service. Obviously he had an alcohol problem and perhaps some mental health issues as well. What I said to him is people can get off track. It doesn't mean that a person is a bad person, although there are probably some bad people in the world. People can get off track, and they need to figure out part themselves to get back on track. I was joking about the kid at Pizza Hut, but it happens to me all the time. You gave me jail, and it changed my life. I was going through Taco Bell. I'm giving you all my Weight Watcher secrets, but the guy at Taco Bell. This was 2 months ago. He said to me, I was in front of you. It was many, many years ago, and I had to do time, and it changed my life. He said, I remember what you said to me. I said, you know what? I didn't change your life. You did. You did. But I always appreciate that they tell you that, that they'll tell you that. I go into the grocery store, and I'll be picking out my broccoli, and the guy says, geez, I got picked for jury duty, Judge. How do I get off? And I'm saying, you know what? We need good jurors. I don't want you to just get off. We're all busy, but it's important that you do your civic duty. Okay, but if it's really you're going to be this or this, call this, do this, whatever. I go over to get my whole wheat lasagna noodles in that aisle, and the lady says, Judge, how do I get on jury duty? I never get picked. They never pick me. I say, go see the guy in produce. Yes, Mr. Toohey.
Sarah, back in the old days when your father was a member of our firm, Roach, Smolenski, and Toohey.
Right.
And this is about the siblings, your siblings.
Oh, sure.
We would go down on Sunday once in a while or violate the Sabbath and do a little work.
Sure.
And so I come down there one day, and your father was sitting in the waiting room reading Sunday paper. I says, Bob, what are you doing down here on Sunday? Why aren't you home taking care of your family? He said, listen. He said, if you had 10 kids like I did, you'd be down here on Sunday too. 3 floors.
That is good. That's good. Need I say any more about my mother being the saint? Yeah. My dad was a good guy, but yeah, my mother was a saint. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Well, I just thoroughly enjoyed it being here in Laker land as a Raider and a Wolverine. Look up those archives of that game when I played Grand Valley. I'm sure we win, and I'm sure I scored at least 2 or 3 points in that game. I'm hoping I got my pants on that game. But thank you very much for letting me be here. I appreciate it. Happy New Year. Thank you.